One of the accusations against red letter Christians is that they elevate the words of Jesus over the doctrines of Paul, over the Old Testament. What do you say about that?
Well, I think they're absolutely right. First of all, let me say this. You don't understand the rest of the Bible until you first come to grips with Jesus. Only in encountering Christ and surrendering yourself to being transformed more and more into what he expects us to be, only insofar as we get into Christ are we able to see what the rest of the Bible is talking about. There is this great story of Philip encountering the Ethiopian eunuch, and the guy's reading the Bible. And Philip says, "Do you understand what you're reading?" And the guy says, "Well, no, I don't understand it." And the scripture says that he gets into the carriage with the guy and explains to him about Jesus. Only Jesus helps us to understand what the rest of the Bible is talking about. Until you come to grips with Jesus, until you get the author of the scripture, because I believe, as Paul writes, he is the author and the finisher of our faith, that you won't understand what the Bible is really talking about. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and my fundamentalist friends have a hard time facing up to this, that not only do I think that the words of Jesus are superior to the rest of the Bible, but Jesus thought that his words were superior to the rest of the Bible. Go through the Sermon on the Mount. How many times does he say, "This is what Moses taught, but I give you a new commandment"? Moses taught you an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I give you a new commandment. I don't want to be nasty, but when Jesus says it's a new commandment, I think he means it's a new commandment, which means it takes precedence over the old. There is no question that the morality of Jesus as prescribed in the Sermon on the Mount is far superior to the morality prescribed by Moses. Moses taught things about divorce. Moses taught things about violence. Moses taught things about getting even with your enemy. And Jesus says, no, we're moving beyond that. We're moving beyond that. For instance, Moses said you shouldn't murder anybody. Jesus says, if you call your brother Raka, do you ever see that passage in the Sermon on the Mount? Raka. You say, what in the world does that mean? That means if you dehumanize another person, it's as though you have murdered him. It's as being as guilty as having taken that person's life. In order to understand that, racism that takes somebody who has skin of a different color and dehumanizes that person, you just committed something that is equal to murder in the eyes of God. Sexism that diminishes the dignity of women. You've, in a sense, obliterated that person's human dignity. That is Raka. So Raka says, look, murder is one thing, but Raka, diminishing the dignity of another human being by prejudice, by discrimination, by some kind of ostracization, that too has to be put in the same. This is a higher morality. So in answer to the question, yes, I do believe the words of Jesus are superior to the other words in the Bible because Jesus said so. And secondly, I don't even think you can understand what the rest of the Bible is saying until you first come to grips with Jesus.